Hey everyone, Petty Party here today, and we've got a super fancy topic, as you can tell from my fancy suit and my fancy person watch. Uh, what I'll be going over today is the concept of debt and leveraging your debt, and how I did it, and why you really shouldn't do anything like that, despite what some very loud voices on YouTube and Facebook and Discord might be telling you otherwise. So basically, how leveraging debt works is you borrow a bunch of money and you're assuming the money you're going to be making off that money you borrowed is going to be taking in more money for you than any interest payments that you might be accruing in the same time period. So when you factor in something like a credit card or a line of credit, whatever your monthly interest payments are, if you can make more money off of the money you borrowed than the interest payments that you're paying to whoever your lender is, then you're making a profit. Now, the thing to keep in mind with credit cards, especially, and to a lesser extent lines of credit, is these types of borrowing avenues, if you'll call it that, they generally have a higher interest rate than a normal secured bank loan from your friendly neighborhood bank or credit union. So with credit cards, you're looking at, depending on what type you have, what relationship you have with your bank or financial institution, you're looking anywhere from 7 to, depending on the super fancy Air Miles card you have, up to, 22, 23% interest. That's annual, so you break it down in a monthly figure, and that's what you're paying on a month in interest. Now, for me, what I do, and I highly suggest none of you do any of this stupid shit. It is very stupid to do. You shouldn't be trying anything like this without talking to an actual financial advisor who has an actual fancy business suit and a fancy business watch, unlike me. So what I did is I would buy collections of cards off of either Facebook or eBay, Instagram, whoever. I would borrow money to purchase those collections, send them off to PSA, get them back in a few months. The amount of money I would make on grading the cards and then selling them after they were graded was greater than my interest payments, so then I have a net profit at the end of the day. The problem with that type of model, especially now, is if PSA runs behind. Even before they were at a 7 million card backlog like they are now, PSA was, when your order was supposed to be, 30 business days, you were usually looking at 3 to 4 months before you're getting anything back. And if you don't factor in for things like that, and you don't have a contingency fund available to you, you are going to end up in a big pile of shit. Especially with credit cards, where if you don't pay the full amount by your due date, then you're getting hounded to Pound Town on interest payments, because they're going to charge you your full interest payment for the month on the entire portion of what you had borrowed the previous month, not just what you haven't paid back. So basically what I would do, and again, for the love of God, don't do stupid shit like this. I would buy a collection, say, on my credit card. I would be continuously buying and selling stuff month over month and paying off the full amount on the credit card, so I wasn't paying any interest. And as a result of me not having to pay interest, because I have that constant cycle going, because after your statement cutoff date, anything else that you charge on your credit card gets put on the next month's statement. So it's not negatively impacting the amount that's due that month, because it's two separate statements. You have two different payments, two different payment due dates, all that fun shit. Again, if you don't know how any of this shit works, talk to an actual person who knows what they're talking about. So basically, what I would do was put money on my credit card to buy stuff, get stuff back from PSA, sell stuff, buy more stuff, send more stuff to PSA, rinse, repeat over and over and over again until I had, a decent collection going and a decent bankroll of cards that were, constantly churning over between getting graded, coming back, being sold, yada, yada, yada. So eventually what I ended up doing was getting a loan of money from someone. I ended up getting about a $10,000 loan. I then took that $10,000 to leverage at the bank and say, hey, I have $10,000, give me more money. And then the bank gave me I think it was $17,000 line of credit. And then I used that almost $30,000 to end up buying a bunch of cards, a bunch of collections, getting them graded, and then using that money to keep the wheels going on the engine, basically. In my own experience, I got screwed terribly because, like I said, PSA ended up getting backlogged, and I ended up waiting, some of those cards I sent off to PSA in August, September of 2019, and then didn't get them back till Christmas Day. So when you're expecting, a 30 to 60 day turnaround, and then that 30 to 60 days turns into 3, 4, 5 months, and you're assuming you're going to be able to keep paying your bills off and, not getting screwed completely on the interest payments of your loans, when you're not factoring into for shit like that, you are going to have a very bad time. You're not going to have very much fun because your interest payments are going to be a hell of a lot higher than you were expecting, and you're probably going to end up losing a shitload of money. And depending on how much money you end up borrowing, you're going to end up paying more interest payments than some people pay on rent, which is a very, very stupid thing to do. So don't want to be doing that. So unfortunately, with the way the business model is now with PSA, and you're looking at anywhere from 6 to 12 months to get back cards on your normal regular turnaround, you can't do shit like this anymore unless you're willing to pay the express fee of $30, $40, $50 a card, or a super express fee of $75 plus, all in US, by the way. We're not talking Tic Tacs and Beach Rocks for Canadian currency, unfortunately, like me. Unless you're willing to pay that extra premium to get the cards back faster, and the cards are actually worth paying that extra premium, very important thing to keep in mind there. Unless you're doing that, you can't get the turnover because you're not going to be getting your stuff back fast enough to be able to actually get money in your account to pay down your credit card or your line of credit to be able to keep the wheels on the engine going. So super important that you realize that when people are telling you to do shit like this, they don't have a clue what the hell they're talking about, because especially, like I said, with PSA and Beckett, and even now CGC, if you're using them for Pokemon stuff, they're all incredibly backed up, and the opportunity of pulling shit like this that me and a few other people were doing over the last few years really isn't there anymore. You're taking a hell of a lot of risk if you do something as stupid as that at this point in time. Really wouldn't recommend anyone doing that unless you have a shitload of extra money to be throwing around, and in which case, what the hell are you doing shit like this for? So just wanted to go over that today because I know a few people keep talking about how you should be like mortgaging your house to buy risk-free investments in cardboard that are going to yield you 50 million quintuple percent in a 2-month period and stupid shit like that. Anyone telling you anything like that is a goddamn idiot, so don't listen to them, please. You really shouldn't even be listening to me because I don't know what I'm talking about anyways. But there we are. So hope you learned something today and have a good one.